last evening after co-principal Kalonzo Musyoka fired the first salvo of his determination to clinch the coalition's presidential ticket. In a bold move, Kalonzo presented his nomination papers to his Wiper Democratic Party, triggering a wave of anxiety that saw co-principal Raila Odinga's henchman James Orengo publicly discuss the issue of the flag bearer. Now, the Daily Nation also has a story on page 4 and 5, more like spread Mudavadi warns co-leaders against leaving as NASA denies fallout claim. Mudavadi, one of the co-principals in NASA, is quoted as having said that anybody who quits NASA will have betrayed the public goal. Of course, the Joho story is also there, and many, many more stories. Let's start with the Wiper resolve, the move by Kalonzo Musyoka to present his papers.
I will say this. If you remember last week, this is what we said. We were discussing the opinion poll from Infotrack, Strategic, and Ipsos, saying that 60% of Kenyans are saying the country is not headed in the right direction. And they said the same 50% of them said the Jubilee administration deserves another chance. And we said, when we scrutinize those data, we said there is something amiss. Not adding up. Not adding up. So the context we have is that opposition has a chance to form the next government if they utilize the disaffection. But the challenge we have is that the 2002 example where opposition behaved as a clear alternative, they actually projected unity, they had joint nomination, and NAC candidate was pitching a KANU candidate, and you saw what happened in 2002 in the environment that we were. Now, fast track to 2017. Currently, there is some disaffection, yes, but you also have a buoyant administration in the Jubilee party. So, I think if you remember last week, Wiper sent a signal saying that they will not have joint nomination. Yesterday, 1 week later, Kalonzo presents his nomination paper as a presidential candidate of Wiper. And before he did this, what happened is that he had an opportunity to also consolidate his base. Ngilu, Katuku, Vinyandete, Professor Kivutha Kibwana. Now, that sends you a signal that from the way things are, looks like Wiper might actually go all the way to the ticket, either through NASA or otherwise. So the question that leaves is what happens to the opposition unity that is required for any regime change, if that was to happen. The case in Nigeria, the case in Ghana, the case even in Zambia. So there are many questions that the opposition must answer, and if they don't strike the unity chord, then there is no need of going for an election.
Raymond, picking it from where Vincent has left, Johnson Muthama, Senator Machakos, is quoted as having said, trust me, Kalonzo is not a child. You can accuse him of so many things like Vincent is doing, but I can assure you one thing, Kalonzo does not know how to lie. If he says he's in NASA, the whole hog he is in.
Charles, thanks.
That's just rhetoric?
I believe they are, and I've said it here. I've emphasized that Kalonzo is not going anywhere. And just what we were discussing, Raila presented his nomination papers. Just the way we know, IEBC has given guidelines in terms of how internal party processes have to take place. And you know very well, for NASA and right now, in particular right now, you must assure your political base that you're going to be the #1. And once you do that, you're going to be achieving a lot in terms of negotiations and saying that this is what I have. There's one thing that Kalonzo has never achieved. Kalonzo has never been even in control of the person in the like of Charity Ngilu. And for the first time, a host of people who have never been supporting him comes on board. What next? It brings confidence to you, and you now begin even now to solidify your turf so that you negotiate. So to me, I believe, Charles, that Kalonzo is putting his house in order so that he can negotiate. And lastly, NASA knows one thing. NASA knows that for them to beat an incumbent, and for a fact, Jubilee is more organized than CORD. For an opposition, they must work twice harder. They must have an audited mole system. In other words, both, they must check whether they have internal moles. They must also check whether they also have more that they can get from the other side. So I believe it's a very tall order for the NASA team, for the opposition. So their unity is critical. If they don't go for it, then it means somebody is stealing this.
Churchill, is all this presenting fodder for the opposition's opposition, that is the administration, Jubilee?
I think, let me before I answer that question, let me highlight something that I don't know how the unity of the Kalonzo base, how sustainable it's going to be, especially based on the political differences that have existed between him and Gilu. And specifically, if you look at the photo that appeared on the dailies, I don't know whether it was by chance or it was just something that happened. I don't know why I did not really quite see a chemistry. I mean, Gilu was sitting next to Kalonzo Musyoka, and those two photos, in my opinion, I didn't really see the chemistry of genuine unity. And maybe,
which is normal, because if you mix two different liquids, you have to shake them for them.
Absolutely. And maybe Ngilu is there because I want to be Kitui governor, and so I need the support of
coalition of convenience.
Absolutely. But then,
turning to my question,
yes,
is the opposition providing its opposition? That's the Jubilee with fodder.
Actually, this whole
I'll come to you, Vincent.
This whole thing is the opposition really is in a tight position. And the reason why I say this is because, you see, how they handle this internal democracy is really going to determine whether they're going to win, or not really winning, but whether they're really going to be at par with Jubilee in the elections. And the reason why I'm saying this is because, Kalonzo Musyoka, as my colleagues have said, is just trying to leverage himself for negotiations. Because you look at it,
so it's looking like he's bolting.
Yeah, Raila was
putting himself in a prime position.
Yes, the ODM brigade have been ahead of the game. I mean, he's been consolidating his base across the country and trying to bring out the perception that we are the best bet. And so the Wiper circles, they are beginning to think that if we don't up our game,
we'll be beaten.
We are going to be beaten.
Gentlemen, I think because we need to move on to Kakamega, we may have to, I'm afraid we may have to wind up at this point, but not before I give each of you at least a minute to wrap up the whole thing as far as what we have in the papers is concerned.
Okay, I think once again, thanks for the opportunity. I really want to say and speak to the issue of insecurity in Baringo County, where I come from, and call upon the leadership at the national and at the county level to work together, and specifically appeal to reason for this thing to be addressed once and for all, to a situation whereby we start seeing children being shot, women and the vulnerable and the old. This should not be the case. I think Baringo is a county of great diversity. It sticks together because of how they harness their diversity. So I think just appealing and calling to all that are responsible, appreciating the Red Cross and all that, that this is the time to come together and call upon the leadership to work together so that they all forge together as a united county, peaceful, prosperous and cohesive. The
desire of every Kenyan. Incidentally, somebody asked on social media yesterday that just the other day we saw the president flag off military wear in their hundreds at the Uhuru Park. Shortly after that, we are seeing all this happening. But thanks for your call, Churchill.
Mine is very simple. I think, and this is to politicians and to the members of the public, that I think it is really high time, even as we go towards the campaigns, to really bring out the dignity of this country and the respect that the great people of this country deserve, the vitality of our people. And as we go into this election period, let's not divide this country further. I mean, let's play our politics based on genuine policies and ideals that are in the interest of the general good of this country.
Thank you. Thank you, Charles. Three things. One, to the political players. To the political players, let's understand we have running opportunities. And the first opportunity that we have is that please let's make responsible decisions and let's respect this nation and respect our constitution. To the citizenry, as we complain and we whine as Kenyans, this is the opportunity to go back to our conscience and make the right decision. And to the political apparatus like IEBC, just give Kenyans a free and a fair election.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Mine is very simple. I will ask this question to the three gentlemen here and to you out there. When did you last plant a tree? Because that is where our answer lies. So long as we have an environment that is conserved, everything else will come to pass. There will be no clamor for resources. There will be no hunger and poverty where people die and others have to kill themselves. Virtually everybody will have something for themselves. We will not have to worship people who don't deserve chances to lead as our politicians, buying us so that they lead. Think about it. Just plant a tree. I'll leave you with the band for some music, and thereafter we'll be crossing over to Kakamega, where our very own Fred Ndimuli is ready to capture the rest of the breakfast show. Thank you very much, gentlemen.